Shalom, my brothers and sisters. Shalom. My name is Symmanayah, and this is Symmanayah's Last Breath. If you're tuning in for the first time, I tend to open by stating many of us as believers have embraced the fact that we are in the last days. We are currently in end times. And if these are indeed the last days, would it not be true that these are our last breaths? And for those of you who prefer not to embrace or accept such a destiny, so to speak, let me say this. I will speak only for me. As for me, I have come to realize that these are my last breaths. I have come to realize many years ago there is no other direction in which I can turn. There is no other master in which I can serve, save, except Almighty Yahuah. By accepting His Son, His sacrificed Son, who ascended before the Father, Yahushua, as Messiah, as my King, I have come to embrace this journey with much expectation, much belief. And as I move through this journey, moment by moment, precept upon precept, as things are pressed upon me to share and to present, I shall do so. With that said, this series on Symmanayah's Last Breath, this series is being recorded and presented May 14, 2013. May 14, 2013. Let me dive into this. The things we read, the expectations we forge in or have forged, the image we hold dear. What is the work? What are the details required to bring such things to pass? Let me read that again carefully. The things we read, the expectations we forge in or forge, the image or images we hold dear. What is the work? The details required to bring such things to pass. How do we come closer and navigate through the names we have embraced? Many of us have taken on Hebrew names, or what we believe to be Hebrew names. But one thing is for certain. Many of us have begun a trek to come away from the slave name which we have inherited as a result of Yashar'al's disobedience. Many of us have begun to accept a Hebrew name, a Yashar'al name. And if we are indeed mistaken, we have embraced a culture of seeking and demonstrating an attempt to return to our true identity as believers and as a race. So, with that said, it is obvious to many of us that we still function in a way in which we still use the names of our slave owners to own homes, to own businesses, to function in this society we call America, or whatever community you're in. But whatever the case may be, my brothers and sisters, some of us have received names as we believe have been given to us by the Most High, and some of us have chosen or selected a name to come away from the name of our former slave owners, or should I say the slave owners of our forefathers. Whatever the case may be, brothers and sisters, Yashar'al will be gathered from the four corners of the earth, and it will be a process, and there's much work to be done. Much work. So how do we come closer to one another? How do we begin to share with one another the heathen name, or the name that we was given at birth out of the ignorance or out of the captivity or should I say captive conditions? How do we navigate? How do the names of our slave owners diminish and the rise of our Hebrew names increase? It will, as we begin to share and draw closer. I am compelled to believe the Most High will indeed allow the names that we have selected and or been given by Him to come away from our captivity and move more into an awakening nation. I am compelled to believe that those names will decrease. But until then, how do we come closer to one another? How much are we willing to divulge to one another in order to draw closer? How much are we willing to share and really get into one another's business enough to be knitly joined together as a family, as a true righteous family? Both Hebrew and Goyim that seek to worship the Most High Yahuah through the acceptance of His Son, His sacrificed Son who died, who sacrificed Himself and rose again, Yahusha, our Messiah. How do we come closer? There's work to be done. How will we travel across lands and or seas in the coming months? When the time comes for us to move, when we find ourselves displaced due to humbling events or whirlwinds and storms, but when we see the mandatory displacement of Yashar'al, true believers, as influences forcing us to come together to fulfill Scripture. When I say force, it's those who seek to be obedient and those who the Father choose to use to fulfill His word. How will we travel across the land and or seas? What resources will we need? What can we carry? How long can we journey across the land and or seas as a united nation of believers without chaos? How much tolerance, how much patience do you think would be required? What do you think would be necessary when it comes to the emotions of those who are experiencing such a great event? Have we been given the abilities that equipped us with the discipline to follow the guidance of the Most High Yahuah in or identify whom He has chosen in or called to be His leaders? Let us, my brothers and sisters, let us begin to think about the necessary work, the preparations, the coming together. Let's consider that there is a process and it has begun. Could we or should we begin with taking some things into consideration? What will be our destinations when forced displacement? When displacement comes, whether you like to look at it as forced displacement or strongly influenced, what's the destination? What points would we go to from step 1 to step 2, or from A to B to C to Z, to get to that final destination? That final destination would be that appointed place where the Most High have designated for us to be when the Mashiach returns. Yes, I have mentioned before, there are things to consider. It will be structure. There are processes, my brothers and sisters. I cannot reiterate this. To some of you, you might think that some of these recordings are a little bit redundant, but choose your words: redundancy or reinforcements, redundancy or reminders. You choose, of course. There are goals and objectives. In other words, there are designated points, endpoints, and there are methods in which we will achieve those goals as guided by the Spirit of Yahushua. We should consider individual identity. What is your identity? Who are you? Who am I? What's our family identity? What have we selected, chosen, or what do we believe to be the identity of our family? What's the identity of the group? You see, it is important that we understand identity, being able to identify who we are as individuals, who we are as a family, who we are as a group. For there will be small groups that will be knitted together to form bigger groups. And this process will continue and continue until the end of days, when the Most High bring Yashar'al together as described in scriptures. What are the rules of engagement? In other words, what are the rules governing this process? What will be the bonding force of togetherness? What will be the details? Not all will be joyous. Not all will be happy. For some will be rejected and cast out due to disobedience, due to failure to acknowledge the right rulings and the guidance of the Most High. Let us prepare our minds to realize that each of us individually will be held accountable for our actions. What will be the governance? In other words, who will be leading? Who will be guiding? Who are the ones that will be used to shape Yashar'al? And who will be the ones used to execute right rulings that determine who participates and who don't? Who's allowed to be in this shaping and who's not? Do you not think the Father will execute right rulings? Do you not think that there will be things that will happen that will keep out those who are not designated to fulfill such tasks and duties? How will we manage the stress levels? Our own individually, our family, as a group? How will stress levels be managed? Have we given thought to the realities of what we should be praying, studying, preparing ourselves for in the coming months? What is the method of transportation that will occur? Will we be journeying on foot, one foot before the other? Will we travel by cars or trucks or buses or planes, or ships? What would be the methods of transportation bringing Yashar'al together, point by point? What resources will be needed? From food, clothing, to fuel. What resources will be needed? Water. What would be the starting point? And what would be the pace? In other words, has it begun? Is it beginning to emerge? Are we in a season where we should give it thought, so when whirlwinds and storms come and we see the scurrying of people, the non-believer not knowing what to do and the believer scurrying to find the righteous guided of the Most High? What effects will this have on others and outsiders? How would they respond to what will emerge in the coming months? Again, my brothers and sisters, the things we read, the expectations we forge and are forged, the image we hold dear, what is the work, the details required to bring such things to pass? How do we come closer and navigate through the names we've chosen? How will we know how to come closer to one another? How will we travel across the lands and seas? What resources will we need? How long can we journey across the land and the seas as a united nation of believers? Have we began to think about the abilities that have been bestowed upon us? And are these abilities there to equip us with the discipline to follow the guidance of the Most High Yahuah, and to identify whom He has chosen and or called to be His leaders? Let us begin to think about the necessary work, the preparations, the coming together. Let's consider there is a process and it has begun. Yes, this is a repeat from the opening remarks. Let us begin to ponder and pray for instructions and guidance regarding preparation for displacement. Let us begin to pursue righteous discernment, complete with understanding from the Most High. Your name, my name, your identity, my identity. Who are you? Who are you? Who am I? Are we servants of the Most High? Are we members of a family being fitly joined together? How will I know you? How will I be able to identify you along the way? What are you willing to tell me? What am I willing to tell you? How will things come to be as we increase in using our names that reflect our culture or an abandonment of slave owners' names? How will this be going forward? Who are you? Who am I? What are we willing to trust with one another so that we can prepare? It would be wise to pray on these matters, these questions, and begin your journey, your work, and identify those who have earned your trust to be called brothers or sisters. Let us develop a time when we will release information necessary for reaching one another. Let us develop trust where we're able to reach out and identify one another. Is that time now? I don't know. I can only encourage you to pray about the matter and act as you are compelled by the Spirit of Yahushua. The formation of Yashar'al will occur, complete with structure and right rulings, to identify the presence of the Most High, the guidance of the Spirit of Yahushua. If communication should be disrupted, such as cell phones, telephones, internet service, satellite services, etc., how will we identify one another? The Most High is not slack concerning the details of his living instructions and guidance. But what about us? Have we or are we seeking earnestly to discern his communications? Who are you? Who am I? Do you want me to know? Do I want you to know? Who do you want to know your names? Names in which you can be identified with. Names in which you can be reached. Names in which we would know when and how to meet and how to embrace one another, acknowledge one another. What will be the functions of individuals with titles? Who will approve such directions and rules? Who will determine the steps of leadership, the organizational structure? Almighty Yahuah is his name. The Spirit of Yahushua will guide us. Pray, my brothers and sisters, our future is in the hands of the Almighty Yahuah, and it is through his sacrifice and resurrected Son, Yahushua, our Messiah, that things will be made clear. I understand these are some real things to consider, and a very challenging task, my brothers and sisters. But keep in mind, nothing will be expected of any of us without being equipped with the wisdom, the tools, and resources necessary for fulfilling our assigned purpose successfully. There are those who will hear, those who can and will see. Whether or not we obey will not inhibit or stop the promises of the Most High. Who is willing to go with the flow of the set-apart Spirit? Who is it that will and or can discern the process ahead? Can we or will we truly come to know one another before the return of our Messiah, Yahushua? Will any of these words prove to be true? What are your thoughts? What do you think? What are your comments? I truly desire to know. I desire to hear from those who can receive these words, as well as any who have questions regarding this message. Come, let us get to know one another. Let's put one another to the test and see if we are truly family. Now or later, there are those who will respond and act. Pray and watch. We shall see the emergence of truth and righteousness. The next step is up to you. And any or all whom you inform regarding the emerging necessary actions required of any listener who bear witness to these words. So your step or anyone you tell, either way, is their decision. Is their decision to respond, to reject, to embrace, to examine, to try, to test. Let the fruit of these words serve their purpose in Yahushua's name. And may the Almighty Yahuwah be magnified in all things righteous. Take a step, my brothers and sisters. Consider taking a step. Begin to discover true family versus predators and those with hidden agendas. Let us come away from compromising teachings and doctrines. Let us pursue fervently those who exhibit and demonstrate the reflection of righteous behavior as it line up with scriptures and whole. Be encouraged. I realize the task is a daunting one, it's a challenging one, and it's filled with many, many hardships. But let us pursue earnestly what the Most High Father has for us. Be encouraged. If you appear to be stuck for any reason, know this: the Most High truly knows your heart and your mind. The Almighty Father will provide what's necessary as He sees fit. Prepare to receive. How many events are coming, my brothers and sisters? How many events are coming? What do we do? What we do between now and the end of days is up to us as individuals, and alone we will face the end results of our decision or decisions. We will face the end result of our actions, our choices, whether it be benefits or consequences. Once it's history, it tells the story. It would have come to pass. Choose wisely, my brothers and sisters, and be encouraged. There is hope. The Most High will fulfill His word. Pray and watch. Discoveries are over the horizon. What are you going to do? Who are you? What's your name? How can I identify you? Come, let's get to know one another. When will you begin to seek and act? Are we truly family? Let us begin to show the joining together of an awakening nation. Let us pray, watch, let us study, and let us grow in discernment, righteous discernment, with understanding, so that we can respond with precise obedience to the Most High. Until next time, my brothers and sisters. Until next time, if I should find favor and be compelled by the Spirit of Yahushua to present another message. Until next time, I'd say be encouraged. I pray that you're able to endure, we're able to endure, and that we grow, and that we be participants of iron sharpening iron. Until next time, shalom. Shalom. Shalom, my brothers and sisters.